All right, so we have a new Netflix movie called You People, and the plot for it is pretty much this. A new couple and their families find themselves examining modern love and family dynamics amidst clashing cultures, societal expectations, and generational differences in this comedy from Kenya Barris. All right, let's get into some of the things that I liked about this movie, and the first thing I'm going to say is the pacing. This movie is just a bit under 2 hours, but I never really felt bored, and although I do have a lot of problems with this movie, pacing was not one of them. Another thing that I liked about this movie is Eddie Murphy's performance, only because usually when Eddie Murphy is in movies, he plays a much more crazy and loud character, but in this movie, he plays a much more grounded, level-headed guy who has a dry sense of humor, and it's cool to see Eddie Murphy proving that he can do different types of roles, and even though he is a supporting character in this movie, every scene that he is in, he easily is the standout in those scenes. Another thing that I liked about this movie is Jonah Hill's performance. Obviously, Jonah Hill has been doing multiple things outside of comedy, but it is good to see him come back and do more comedy roles, because if you've seen 21 Jump Street or 22 Jump Street, you know that he's absolutely hilarious. And him and Lauren London in this movie are absolutely fantastic. The moment that they meet each other in that car, you are instantly sold on their relationship, and you just want the best for those two. And speaking of Lauren London, I thought that she was really good, and obviously when her and Jonah Hill are together, that's probably the standout for this movie, but even when she's on her own with scenes without Jonah Hill, I thought that she was just as good, if not better. Another thing that I liked about this movie is Julia Dreyfus's performance, and usually with these type of characters, I'm usually not the biggest fan of, but in this movie, I actually never felt annoyed with Julia Dreyfus's character, which I guess is a credit to the actress, but I also think that in terms of writing for this part of the movie, I thought that they nailed her character, and although once again she is very ignorant and sometimes racist, you can tell that she means well with what she's trying to do. Another thing that I liked about this movie is the message, and once again, the message, if you've seen the movie, isn't anything different that you've heard before, but I thought for this movie about interracial relationships, I thought that the message for it was slipped in very well. Alright, let's get into some of the criticisms that I have for this movie, and the first one is the comedy, and once again, if you know Kenya Barris and you know his style, his humor is a bit on the nose sometimes, and sometimes just a bit corny, and although this movie is pretty funny for the most part, there are certain moments in this movie where I literally said the words, "That was corny." Another criticism that I have for this movie is the interracial jokes. Obviously, when you have an interracial relationship between black and white people in a comedy, these type of jokes are bound to happen, but I think sometimes the situations and jokes that they set up just did not land with me, and I'm pretty sure, judging by the scores that people have given this movie, it seems to have not landed with a lot of people. Another problem that I had with this movie was Nia Long, and not Nia Long as an actress. I don't think that she gave a bad performance, but it's the fact that you had Nia Long in this movie and you pretty much gave her nothing to do. Obviously, like I said, Eddie Murphy and Julia Dreyfus are supporting characters in this movie, but they still had an arc that they went through and we saw them progress throughout the movie, while Nia Long is just kind of there. The last criticism I'm going to share before I give my score for this movie is that it's predictable. And I'm not saying the whole movie's predictable, but I would say 90% of the movie is very unpredictable. And then when Eddie Murphy and Julia Dreyfus's arc comes to an end by the end of the movie, it goes in a very predictable and cliche way, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but when your whole movie's been unpredictable, it's very disappointing when it ends in a predictable way. And overall, guys, although You People is enjoyable, I do think it is a bit of missed potential, but I'm gonna go ahead and give You People a 6 out of 10. Have you seen You People? Did you like it more than I did? Do you agree with me? Let me know in the comments, and those are my thoughts on that.